Dario, you're a Lakers fan, but I know you primarily as like a Kobe fan,
Yeah,
a Kobe Lakers fan.
yeah,
So what
yeah.
was your level of like emotional connection and investment to this specific Lakers team? Were you as connected to this team as you've been in past years? What's kind of your perspective on that?
Honestly, I didn't care about them. I don't care. I the only reason I even cared about the 2020 Lakers was because they were specifically doing it for Kobe. Because if they weren't,
Okay.
we might have not even been like, yeah. So I'm gonna be honest. But I did follow them all year, like throughout the year, and watched games. Whenever LeBron was on, so it was more so admiring LeBron in his 22nd season doing what he's doing. But
Sure.
when I did watch, I would watch Laker games and stuff like that. But never really like I love this team. Definitely
Sure.
not. I have not felt like that since 2000.
It's LeBron, man. It's just LeBron.
16,
It's
13,
LeBron.
whatever, whenever.
Yeah, it's funny you said. Oh my God, I didn't like any of those teams either. I mean, it was Kobe like just selfishly shooting like 20 shots a game while shooting like 2% from the field. It was like 2013 was like where I
That
was
was the
last like really emotionally invested.
Hmm.
It was because we still had Kobe and Powell and all that.
Yeah.
What I do agree though, 2020 was fun. Partially, it just felt like they were having more fun that year. Like the last couple
they were having
years,
fun.
yeah, the last couple years, it's like this weird feeling where it's like we're like decent. We competed with Denver. Like we gave Denver a run for the money. We had a lead in every game. Like had a significant lead in every game.
There was a
But
stat.
they still seem miserable. Like Darvin Ham doesn't like, or nobody likes Darvin Ham. The players are constantly complaining. It just seems like nobody's enjoying themselves on this team anymore. And so, yeah, so I don't know. It was, I think the Lakers fan base has kind of been divided over the last, basically since 2018. Because you're talking about a guy who was like the rival to Kobe, fundamentally different from Kobe and LeBron, who now joined the Lakers. And not only do you have the challenge of embracing LeBron, but he is just so different from Kobe. Like we knew.
Yeah, mentality, press conference, everything.
Just even going down to one possession games where the final shot. Guys who watched Kobe for 20 years are expecting the main guy to take that shot. So when, LeBron's kicking it out to, whoever, Rudy or whoever he's kicking it out to, we're like, take that shot.
Yeah. Why are you giving up the ball?
So it's just been a really interesting team, and now I'm just wondering, as LeBron's in his exit phase with Los Angeles, because I don't think he's coming back. It's going to be interesting to see like how is he remembered in Los Angeles? Like are the real Laker fans, because LeBron fans ain't going to stick around. They're going to go wherever he goes. But for the Laker fans who are staying here and whose heart who bleed purple and gold, is he going to be like on the Mount Rushmore of Laker greats? And I don't know.
Not with one championship, but one thing to add to your point with the Lakers, there was actually a stat that in this series the Lakers were ahead 75% of the series.
Yeah.
And still lost in gentleman's sweep. That's insane. But I definitely don't think LeBron would be considered like a Laker GOAT. I would, or you know what I mean, like on the Mount Rushmore of Lakers. There's just too many superstars that were there for so long and won so many. The weird part is LeBron's actually been in LA for longer than he was in Miami, and close to his Cleveland career. So he's been in LA the second most. So
part of it, I think, is the timing of it. Like if LeBron played in the 90s and was following up Magic Johnson, I feel like he might have been embraced a little bit more by Laker fans. But the fact that he followed up Kobe and was so fundamentally different in his like mindset and approach. Like I still think of like Kobe telling him he should have shot it in the All-Star game. Just literally how they finish games. They have such different ideas of how to execute in those situations. So I don't know. It'll be really interesting to see how he's remembered.
Yeah.
Russell, do you have anything on this? We're talking over.
No, that's totally fine. But do you guys really think like Are we talking like outside the top 10 ever of Lakers for LeBron?
No, but outside the
No,
top
Mount
five,
Rushmore's
sure.
4. You know, so top
No,
10
but
is
like
kind of
if we're really thinking about it, he's got to be like 8th, 9th, maybe.
Yeah,
Of
that's
Lakers,
not
I'm
wrong.
saying.
But
Pure
when you
Lakers.
talk about Mount
There are guys
Rushmore,
with 5. There are guys with 5 or like more championships.
unless
on
you're
the
one of those
Lakers
types
roster.
of fans that
Or
just
on the
doesn't want to
Lakers,
give
like-
LeBron credit for anything. Yeah, he definitely
He's
should be
top
like
10.
in the top 10.
for
But like,
sure.
but yeah, I would say probably. All right, come on. How many? Okay, let's go down the list. Kobe,
Yeah,
That's
I
what
was
I'm
gonna say,
saying. Let's do it.
Kobe Magic,
Kareem.
Shaq.
Yeah. Well,
Kareem.
people would argue Shaq over Shaq and LeBron.
3
I
straight
wouldn't.
titles for the Lakers? Like 4
Yeah,
of the
it's not-
Lakers,
it's not
3
arguable.
titles. It's
I don't
Shaq.
think-
Three of
I
the
don't think
best
arguable.
finals MVPs of all time.
I've literally heard people argue this, but
Okay, well,
I
they're
agree.
delusional. All right,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
I don't care about
Shaq,
this.
definitely. Yeah. I'm with that.
But that's not like. Are you gonna put LeBron over Jerry West?
No,
I don't think-
that's what
I
I'm
would
saying.
not.
Lakers.
So
Yeah.
I don't
Lakers?
think so. You have one title to one
Can't
title,
do it over the Lakers.
but then you have to consider everything Jerry West did for the Lakers. Like
And
Yeah,
nine
yeah, you do.
finals.
Jerry West gets
Nine
credit for
finals.
Shaq and Kobe being on the
Yes,
Lakers.
all of
Like,
it. Showtime.
Yeah, so
I'm
you
just
can't.
talking as a player. Like the 9 finals just puts him over the top, or 8, whatever he had.
Yeah.
I don't mess with them old guys that much, but I defend them a little bit.
The logo is fine. And for Lakers, he's definitely in that conversation, and I would have him over LeBron. That's what I'm saying. It's a long list before you get. If we're talking LeBron, it ends tomorrow. Like he's leaving LA, and this is it. And tomorrow he's on a new team, and this is his Laker legacy. It's these 6 years. It's definitely a conversation as to whether he's in the top 10 and whether he's like 8 through 10. Like,
But I
that's
think
the
just right
discussion we're
there,
talking about.
right there, we just like firmly established he's not in the Mount Rushmore Lakers. Like,
definitely not.
That's easily not.
Yeah, because he's in like I think it's like that 5. Because now you start getting into guys like, all right, James Worthy, like as far as how endeared he is to the fan base.
Mhm.
Now to be fair, as more of us guys get older and there's more young fans coming in, that'll slowly there'll be more, in favor of LeBron compared to a guy like that. But
these are the top 12 in terms of win shares.
Yeah.
I'd have LeBron over a couple of these guys, obviously, but like
I don't even got
not
LeBron.
that
I don't
many.
got LeBron over Wilt.
I got LeBron over Byron Scott, but like I think people would like if we're talking just Lakers legacy, you know what I mean? I definitely think he's a better player than Byron Scott, but in terms of Lakers legacy, how many chips Byron Scott got for the LA? Quite a few.
Yeah, but to me it's different when you're like the man, the guy. Like you get more like LeBron's one chip with being the guy to me matters more than Byron's whatever. Like
I would personally have him over Byron Scott for Lakers, but you see what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I know. There's definitely an argument either or.
I have him ahead of Elgin Baylor, ahead of Wilt. It's so funny. I don't
Vern.
I don't know if I put him ahead of Wilt, but I don't feel good. I feel like they're in the same kind of situation.
Yeah.
Where they both kind of joined the Lakers and were still awesome, but they were in the twilight of their careers, joining other stars, and they broke through and won the championship once.
Sure.
I mean, that 72 team that won the championship was more historic.
Definitely.
I mean, they won 33 straight regular season games. And so from that perspective, I mean, that does a lot more for the organization than the 2020 championship.
You think that the bubble chip is historic?
I think so.
Oh, man.
But there are people who definitely don't think so. And I have a feeling Johnny's about to say
there's a lot of people on my channel who are going to be coming after Terry.
They come after me too, because I think the bubble championship is impressive also. Yeah. If you care about mental toughness,
go play and just have to sit in a hotel sit there, stare at the wall, and then go play basketball and not be able to get do what you literally channel, but
right before the bubble happened, the Last Dance was talking about how Michael Jordan could only stay in his hotel room whenever he went anywhere because otherwise he would be bombarded. It's kind of like that, except instead of being bombarded, there's just more nothing when you leave your hotel room, and there's just it is it was definitely the mentally strongest players survived. And I don't understand how anybody could feel any other way about it, because we saw several superstars crumble in that environment. Like
Kawhi.
Well, let's segue a little bit because I want to stay on track here with the Lakers and LeBron and stuff.
Yeah, true. Sorry.
Now, no, you're good. You're good because that bubble is a rabbit hole, and we can go forever down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So, Dario, you've mentioned you're not really emotionally attached to this team, so I kind of feel like I have an idea what your answer is going to be, especially with like the only way we can keep LeBron at this point is using that 17th overall pick.
Oh my God!
On his side, yeah, I knew I knew how you're gonna feel. I feel like Russell might disagree on this. Dario, what is your thoughts? How would you feel if the Lakers use a 17th pick?
I don't understand why people think Bronny has to be a first-round pick. He's easily gonna be. He can easily be a second-round pick, and no one cares. Like,
no way. I
totally
strongly disagree. Not from a talent standpoint. From a talent standpoint, he wouldn't get drafted. The only reason he's getting drafted at this point is because of his connection to his father, and he has a package deal with his dad. I think the Lakers might be desperate enough to take him. I think Dr. Buss, if he was still around, he'd have enough pride to be like, "Nah, we're ready to move on. We can build something new." I don't know if Jeannie's going to have that mindset. I think she might be willing to do it because I think somebody like you're telling me the 25th, 26th, 27th pick is not going to look at that pick and say, "We get LeBron James to add to our squad." Like even a team like say the Golden State Warriors. Yeah. You know that finally now you can pair up Steph Curry with LeBron James. All you got to be doing is waste that late round pick to get his son. Like that's so worth it. And that's why the Lakers are thinking we might have to use that 17th pick on him. You know what I'm saying? I
just don't like this assumption that LeBron's absolutely going where his son's going. I just don't like it. And here's why. Here's why. If I was like, and I think I said this to one of you guys via text. If I'm Orlando, right? If I'm Orlando, why would I not use my pick on that? And if I really think LeBron's coming, then you have like a legitimate playoff team in the East that could probably do some damage, and you could do whatever you want with Bronny at that point. But I really don't think it's just a signed, sealed, delivered situation that LeBron's just going to blindly go wherever Bronny goes, no matter how bad the organization is. Like, I wouldn't go to New Orleans if I was LeBron. They seem to have a terrible history with injured players. Wouldn't want to go there. I said Orlando. There's a couple of teams on that list. Washington probably be a tough sell. Like, you cannot convince me that LeBron, notoriously known as one of the smartest guys ever in the league in terms of like what people have on their team, what the lay of the land in terms of the league looks like. You cannot convince me that he would just blindly sign up for some rebuilding thing just to say, "Oh, I handed the ball to my son one time in a game." And then
I agree and disagree. I think that LeBron, Brian Windhorst, which again, he's tied to LeBron at the hip. It's how much you take his credibility, whatever. But he's indicating that LeBron's going to enter free agency. I think LeBron is going to try to control where his son goes. I think him and Bronny are going to have a dialogue. And whether or not you call that tampering, whatever. I think they're going to try to be discreet about it, and the NBA doesn't want to have a big, controversy with LeBron. So I think there is going to be some talks behind the scenes, and it's probably just going to fly under the radar. But if LeBron says, "Hey, Golden State, hey, Clippers, hey, whatever, if you can move up far enough in the draft and you take my son, I'm coming with him." So I think from that perspective, he can kind of dictate his destination a little bit, and he still gets to go play with Bronny. That's what I think he's going to do.
I think it is still a huge risk.
Yeah, but to add to Russell's skepticism, you really he could control it in a different way, where he just makes it seem like that's going to happen. You draft his son, sure, and he just doesn't go. Right?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And then they're going to be like, "Well, your son sucks."
Yeah.
So
and then
he's gonna come to where LeBron's at. So
That's way more likely.
I see what you're saying. They're
you just
if LeBron's not
him.
coming,
'Cause
we're
you're
gonna
not
cut
good enough. I'm
Bronny,
not gonna waste
and
the
then they
roster
pick
spot.
up Bronny. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Have fun in
devious,
Charlotte
dude.
for a
That's
couple of months.
devious.
Yeah,
Like,
Bronny, go figure it out. You know, you'll
Yeah,
figure it out for a couple months.
And
Oh,
enjoy
man,
playing on the
that's
Hornets
devious.
till like January, and then we'll see you by the time the buyout time happens.
Yeah.
Like roughly that period of time.
Yeah.
I can see that.
And
Totally.
everybody, you know, that'll be a huge controversy, right? Like everybody's gonna be like, "Well, LeBron didn't go to where his son's at, whatever." And then we see it play out how it's supposed to play out, and then
They cut him 1/3 into the season, and LeBron's like, "Okay, son, now come play with me."
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget it. You
Thank
heard
me
it
later,
here.
no
I
For the
think
first time in
he's
your
gonna
life.
do
Here.
it. I think he's going to try to do it where he says, "Move up into the draft and take him." I just don't. I think it is impossible. I think it's impossible that Bronny. I could be wrong on this, but I don't think he's going to get through the entire first round undrafted, because you have 30 organizations now looking and passing up LeBron James. That's really what you have.
If that's what you believe.
But that's
what
everything
you believe.
LeBron's been telling us.
Yeah,
I mean, he could be lying, but that's everything he's indicated to us is that.
I mean,
this
LeBron also told Miami to draft Shabazz Napier, and I'll stay.
And they freaking did it. And they did it because they were desperate to keep LeBron. They did it.
But if anything shows you that you should not do that, that's a great example. Don't do that. Don't give away all your picks for LeBron when he's not staying. He's just
you're not doing the math here though. So one organization decides, remember that Shabazz Napier situation? Let's not do that. So now you need the next team to go, remember the Shabazz Napier situation? Let's not.
Someone's going to do it.
The next team. Somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going to bring on Bronny and say, let's get LeBron.
He's doing this 100%. I feel like look at Golden State's history in the last 2 or 3 years, right? They're picking up older players that they know can play.
Draft picks.
Terrible draft picks. They pick older players that they know can play, handle the ball, everything. Limit the load on Steph. What's perfect enough to bring a 39-year-old LeBron James handle the ball and get it to Steph and then imagine the high pick and roll LeBron and stuff. This is like KD all over again, even though he's 40 years old.
And then KD sees how well they're playing, and then he jumps on the bandwagon like he always does. Would be insane.
That would be crazy. Imagine. No, all right, now we get a little too crazy. But.
Where would you, as a general basketball fan, now let's put it this way. If you were LeBron James and you can control the situation, where would you want to go? Would you want to stay with the Lakers? Would you want to go to another team? Where would you want to go if you were LeBron?
Does this factor in like where people are seated in terms of draft, or is it just like my fantasy? Like this would be sick if you played.
I mean, listen, Bronny is not this highly coveted prospect. Okay,
sure.
So moving up the draft in a position to take Bronny, I don't think is necessary. Or even LeBron signs somewhere and then the team decides to trade for Bronny.
Right.
I don't think like said LeBron wanted to go to. Sorry, I keep just throwing out Golden State because that probably would be my choice. But if he wanted to go with Steph Curry and then some other team drafted Bronny, hoping to get LeBron, I don't think it'd be very hard for Golden State to then get Bronny in some trade to appease LeBron. And then you get both. He's happy. And
that's a universe I could see LeBron making good on this promise because he likes them. But like, I'll say it again. If the Washington Wizards decide, let's take this chance. Maybe we could end up with LeBron James in the nation's capital. I don't believe it. I won't believe it until I see it. There's no way.
So what about the Miami Heat?
Interesting.
You go into East, right? It's nice weather. You can still handle your businesses there. You have a solid foundation and organization, and he doesn't have to be the coach to everything. Like he doesn't have to have the control that he has. Because even with the Lakers, I know it doesn't seem like I'm sure he's pulling some strings in the background. I don't know how much he wants the control. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. But you get like a solid organization, who's gonna teach Bronny the way of basketball the same way he got taught. And
has their relationship like been repaired enough, and is it strong enough to where LeBron would want to go back to Miami?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Does LeBron want to commit to 5% body fat for the rest of his career? I don't think so.
Exactly. Like that's a Heat culture, and anything that has like a really strong culture where LeBron has to somewhat like compromise and become fit into that culture. No, LeBron is the culture.
Yeah,
okay?
I think that.
I don't
but
know
Dario, you're right though. It would help him. You're definitely right. But some people don't always.
But I think that plus the grooming of Bronny, like if he's also thinking about this is where my son's gonna learn because right now he's not ready for the NBA. But I'm sure in LeBron's mind, he's not just thinking I want to play with my son. I think he's thinking I want to groom him to be a good NBA player. And I think that's where he can get that. Like you'll learn the fundamentals of basketball. You'll learn the right way to do it the same way he did. And I feel like that makes the most. And to his story, left Cleveland, went to Miami.
Sure.
Went to Cleveland, went back to Cleveland. And imagine just going back to Miami. Like, all right, we like to a good farewell. I could see that maybe.
Russell's hovering over who I was going to bring up next. Yeah.
This is a team I could realistically see them being like, we have the 20 whatever pick, whatever. Like, let's see what we could do if we get them. And everything Dario's saying about culture and like toughness and all that stuff. Thibodeau might be the only person to play Bronny for 20 minutes a game just because he likes to play people more minutes than they should ever play in their life. That's what he does. So I could absolutely
learn how to win. That's
that happening.
Like, he doesn't really get to learn how to win.
Hey, they're sitting at second right now in the East, and they look pretty well, and they look pretty good in their first round matchup. So they're doing okay. I'm not saying that they're going to win the championship, but
it would feel like some nice closure to me if you went to the Knicks, because my goodness, that free agency and that summer of 2010, I was convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt LeBron was going to New York. He was wearing the Yankees hat at the Cleveland Indians game. He was talking about how much he loves Madison Square Garden. 100%. Every single time he played a game there, like it always felt like LeBron should have been in the Big Apple. And to be honest, I think LeBron would be embraced in New York so much more than LA did. Because New York, I mean, who's the biggest star that they've had? I mean, now they have Brunson, but even Brunson, and then it's Carmelo. Yeah, but even both of those guys, they're like tier 2 superstars when you're looking at the league as a whole. You know? And I don't mean disrespect, but they're not LeBron. They're not Kobe. They're not.
They're not LeBron. They're not LeBron. Yeah, you're right.
That's my point.
Keep going. Keep going, Johnny. Keep talking. Keep burying Melo. That's what I want to hear.
He's not. He was in his rookie season, and in the rookie season, it was Melo, LeBron. They were 1A, 1B. But beyond that, no.
Yeah. Then Melo just went like this. Yeah, I agree. You and me are on the same page.
I take it there's some like history betwing you two and this.
No. It's history between me and Carmelo Anthony. He's trash. Anyways. Brunson, I like. Brunson, he's great. Melo, we could go all day, get the shovels out and bury him. That's fine. But anyways, what do you guys think of the series? I feel like we never talked about the series.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, can we actually talk about the winners?
And what do you guys think?
Well, we're wrapping up that segment. Then I don't know if that was the cleanest way to wrap that up, but all right.
I have a legitimate question though, because this series did go 5 games, but it was way closer than most 5-game series. Like we talked about, the Lakers were leading most of halftime, and then Denver always had to make a comeback. But I'm looking at the Joker's numbers: 28, 16, and 10 with a steal a game, shooting 59%. Oh man, what is his true shooting? 67.2% true shooting for the series.
And
absolute savage.
You know what's amazing about this? These scores in the playoffs, and I plan on making a video about this.
Yeah.
Defense is amped up like crazy in the playoffs.
True.
I mean, even in this series alone, like Lakers and Nuggets are teams that can put up points. Lakers averaged 106. Denver averaged 108.
Look at
That's
the
as
pace.
many as 8 points below what the league average was throughout the regular
pace
season.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The pace is in the
And-
exact same spot as well. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And so there was some real defense being played. So now with that being the pace, now I'm looking at Joker's numbers and I'm going, good Lord, he could do that in any era. Like literally, he could do that in any sort of pace. That is insane.
That's definitely fair. Fair. But bring it back to Denver. Like, did this series make you feel better about their title chances, or did you think like, this was closer than you would have wanted to see out of Denver Nuggets?
Okay. Who do you, if you get? I don't mind starting if you guys
Go
are
for it.
okay with it. I think this and I know it seems weird because honestly, if the Lakers were in the Eastern Conference, they would have easily been top 4 seed in the East.
Sure.
I think that the West was so stacked that you look at teams like the Lakers, Golden State, why is the team escaping me?
You're talking about the bubble teams
that got
and the play-in teams,
yeah, that whole play-in situation. Like all 4 of those play-in teams could have easily been like 4th or 5th seeds. And I think Denver had, if anything, this is the tougher matchup for Denver out of all of those teams because the one thing that Denver's advantage is their bigs, and the Lakers have bigs to defend. And that's why I feel like the series seems so close, even though they completely, it was a gentleman's sweep. They played each other well, and it's because their advantages were used against each other. I think if Denver would have faced, either way, they probably would have just swept anybody. But if Denver, it would have looked worse if Denver would have faced like Golden State or any of the other teams, especially the Pelicans, even with Zion. I think the Denver Nuggets are going to win the championship this year. So if that helps with anything.
I'll say this. I think I'm still taking Denver over Minnesota, but I'm taking them in 7. I would not be surprised if Minnesota wins this series. Minnesota's a weird team because, they have Mike Conley, who's definitely got veteran experience and stuff, but it's not like they have championship veteran players all over that roster. Even guys like Rudy, it's like he's never been on the biggest stage.
Yep.
Ant is 22 years old. Karl Anthony Towns, I don't think of Cat and think of like playoff atmosphere, It's like this is not a team that I would think would be poised and experienced, but they are, dude. They are so poised. They play smart. They're deep, and defensively they're excellent. And the way they just handled the Suns, with KD, and I'm really worried about the Nuggets, especially because of the Nuggets' tendency to come out of the gates with the Lakers and just start off slow. Like that should be the trait of an inexperienced team that isn't ready for the playoff atmosphere, not the defending champions. And so taking that, you can make up those leads against the Lakers, who are making a lot of mistakes and making a lot of crucial turnovers. And, when, D'Angelo Russell is throwing up brick after brick and Darvin Ham's making weird rotation decisions, you can make those comebacks. Yep. But when you got to do it against Minnesota, as deep as they are, that's going to be a hell of a lot tougher. So this slow start thing, whatever they got going on there, they got to figure that out. And for that reason, I'm kind of concerned about these Nuggets. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Russell?
The Jamal Murray 2 buzzer beaters were awesome. But if Jamal Murray's got to win you 2 games against this Laker team that's pretty depleted and it's coming down to the wire like that, it doesn't make me feel better about their title hopes.
Sure.
It doesn't make me feel like, they're going to go right through everybody and carve through everybody like tissue paper. It makes me nervous, because I am surprised that they were like you said, Johnny. I was surprised that they got off to such slow starts every single game. But what do you?
I think what it comes down to
on your mind.
I think what it comes down to is Dario. You think the Lakers are better than Russell?
Yeah, I'm shocked that you guys think the Lakers are that bad. I disagree 100%. I think
I'm
the
not
Lakers
saying they're that
are arguably
bad.
top 4 seed in the West.
No,
I don't
with that.
agree with you at all with that. I don't
So
agree with you in any way, shape, or form.
I completely do.
Yeah,
I think
no.
I
they-
understand
I
a
think
basketball. A basketball is a game of matchups, but here's how I kind of want to
Yeah.
make that distinction. How would you have seen the Lakers doing against the Phoenix Suns? I want to hear that from both of you. How would that series have gone if the Lakers were matched up with the Suns instead?
I think the Lakers would have won in probably 6 games.
Russell?
Maybe.
I have no idea. That's two teams
I
that are
think
totally
it would have
broken.
been honestly it
Right.
might be 5. Like the match, just overall, who's gonna guard Anthony Davis, and then like that, just that alone, that's a huge mismatch against that Suns team who doesn't seem to not know how to play defense at all in that Minnesota matchup. Their biggest issue was Karl Anthony Towns, who literally, like, you have to beg him to be great. Like, I don't think you would have had that same
That's
issue.
true.
Like, I would have saw Anthony Davis just eating them alive. Like,
here's the thing,
he was
and I
great
wanted to
in
bring
this
this up
series.
about. He did, but at the end of the day, the same thing that has tortured him for his whole career is the same thing that ended their season, essentially, which is he fell apart like glass that you drop from 10 feet in the air. And once again, that cost them huge in game 5. It didn't cost them the whole series. I'm not going to say that because obviously couldn't have, but it feels like a little bit poetic because everybody all year, Anthony Davis, finally healthy, finally a healthy season. Finally, we're going to see this guy, and it still happened. And when the going got tough, he still broke. And I feel bad. I feel bad for him. Like when I say
he
still broke,
played all 5 games.
But look, if they would have won game 5, would he have played game 6? We don't know that.
I will say this, Russell, and I know this as a Laker fan who watches a lot of regular season games throughout the year. Anthony Davis going down like he's seriously injured and still like getting up to play more, like that is not a rare occurrence. Like I know that happened with the Nuggets. That happened a lot this season, even though he played over 70 games. Like
but he didn't look as bad as he looked in that second half of this game. Like it looked like something was wrong with his shoulder, like he dislocated something, and that hadn't happened. If it was a regular season game, he would not have come back in the game.
Yeah,
100%.
for sure, 100%.
And good for him. I'm happy he had one of those. I'm happy he had a great series. Like I just had his stats up. I'll pull them back up. 28, 16, 1.6 blocks, like 4 assists, 63%. That's like very, very good. Like he dominated as much as he could have done, but this team did not. Like that's where it's like it's tough to say this team was so great when they needed these guys, and you needed a 39-year-old guy to play 41 minutes a game in the playoffs. Like that couldn't have been the plan. That could not have been the plan.
That was definitely
outside of Anthony Davis.
Sure.
And that's not a good team. That's not a top 4 team in any conference. In my
opinion. If we look up the same Phoenix Suns, we would see all of their top players averaging 40 minutes a game as they should.
I don't think that's good either. Yeah, I don't think that's good.
No matter what playoff team you put up, you're gonna see their top players averaging 40+ minutes a game easily.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but they're old. They should not be doing that. They need more help
in the playoffs. This is the only time these old people. That shouldn't matter. Like you gotta play.
They should be at like 30 in the regular season and 35 in the playoffs. Look at Duncan. Duncan was never at 40 minutes with those Spurs teams.
Yeah, Duncan had a great team around them. You can't do that.
That's my point. That's my whole point. That's exactly my point.
The issue with the Lakers is they literally faced the best team in the West, in my opinion.
Okay, that's your opinion.
The Lakers could have literally, arguably, been the 3rd or 4th best.
Dario,
I don't agree.
How many games?
That's fine, but
Nuggets, Timberwolves. What is your prediction? How much is this series going?
I got Nuggets in 6.
So we're 1 game off. I mean, but
I
got Nuggets in 7. I just listen. Outside of Anthony Davis, who's the Lakers' best defender? Who's the Lakers' best defender outside of Anthony Davis? That's what I'm saying. That is my point right there. And on the perimeter, now you're going to have Rudy Gobert down low, Defensive Player of the Year. You're going to have, he's probably going to be the Defensive Player of the Year for 4 times.
Jokic.
You got Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards on the perimeter who are going to make life difficult for guys like Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray. I just think they're in for a wake-up call. Like, they just had some tough games with the Lakers, and now they're going up into a dogfight with a Minnesota team that defensively is a lot more scary. I don't know if they're ready for it. You can't make 15-0 runs and all these big comebacks against Minnesota when they're
against Anthony Edwards. Not against Minnesota. Against Minnesota. If you take away Anthony Edwards, they look like a completely different team. You want to know why? Because
100% agree.
They are the P word. All right, I'm not gonna say. I know I can't, but that's
agree.
what they are without Anthony Edwards.
Well, they're gonna have Anthony Edwards, so
yeah, they're gonna have him. So don't get me wrong. I'm not upset if they win. I'm kind of even rooting for them a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you. I became an Anthony Edwards fan. I didn't realize how much I like this dude until I started seeing him talk smack to KD. I know that's in the other series we're gonna talk about, but
yeah,
I became a fan. That was like
cool.
That
that's
was
like the least surprising thing said this entire pod.
Coming out, and I'm like, what?
The guy who looks just like Kobe and MJ, Dario's a fan of. I'm so surprised.
Man, I'm over here. I'm about to get an Anthony Edwards jersey off of just what he did to KD. He literally he beat up an old guy like for no reason. Which all right, but
assault in some countries.
Who 9 times out of 10, the best player in the series is probably going to win the series.
Sure.
The only times that doesn't really happen is when there's an overwhelming advantage on the other side.
Sure.
I don't think that's the case here. So Jokic is the best player in the league to me right now. So I have to give him that respect.
I mean, sure he is. But we're talking about a great two-way player that's averaging in the playoffs like 31, 8, and 6. I mean, if there is a gap between Jokic and Ant, I mean, the question has to be asked: is it really all that big right now?
It's head and shoulders.
Because Ant is killing it this postseason.
It's head and shoulders. Jokic is head and shoulders better than Anthony Edwards. Even. Listen, I don't care.
People want to talk about advanced analytics and stuff. All I saw was the Lakers getting to the rim this entire series and Jokic barely challenging it. Like, my God, if Jokic was just a little bit better of a rim protector, would actually jump sometimes and try to contest. Like, I was seeing D'Angelo, I was seeing LeBron. They get to the rim all the time, and Jokic just was like, I'm tired. Just go up and he rarely contests. And so I don't know when you factor in the defense as well. I don't know if it's head and shoulders. Maybe I'm glazing Anthony Edwards a little too much here, but
I don't get me wrong. I feel you, man. I'm not mad about that at all. I whenever you're comparing a player and you feel like the other player's playing amazing on both sides, it makes you feel like you can't say that this player is not better. But it's like when you looked at Magic Johnson in the 80s, right? A guy who amazing on offense, IQ, everything, and then defensively he was kind of a liability. You look at another guy, you look at other stars at the time who were two-way players. Magic Johnson was still the best player in the league at the time. You can't argue 87 Magic and MJ.
If you look at the top 12 players, top 12 players in NBA history, the top 12. 10 out of those 12 were great defenders.
100%.
Okay. The exceptions that you have is if Curry's in your top 12, Curry, and then Magic. Outside of that, they're all good defenders. So it's like, I get what you're saying, but those are still every once in a while exceptions. And I'm not trying to diss on Jokic, but again, you said there needs to be overwhelming talent. There might be. If they keep building deficits that are hard to come back from, and now they have to go up against this great defensive team. And on top of that, I mean, we're not even bringing up the fact that Murray's not 100%. I mean, kudos to him for hitting that game-winning shot, but his numbers and his efficiency were not terribly great, and he's clearly not playing completely healthy. And so that's something to factor in too. And, those perimeter defenders might be looking at Murray and they might be seeing blood in the water, man.
I'm not mad. I'm literally not. But honestly, 3 weeks ago, I probably would have been like, hell no, Minnesota. But what I've seen from Anthony Edwards, man, I was liking him throughout the year. When I see what he did to Kevin Durant, man, I'm a fan. So
but
I'm not
leadership.
mad if they win the series. I just think Denver will win the series and will win the championship.
Me and Russ were talking about it, but Ant, the way he was talking to Kat in that post-game interview, dude.
Yeah, like
this kid's 22 and he's saying like, stop effing fouling,
Yeah.
and saying
I think we need to
holding him.
I think I should take this one. So I hate Cat. I hate Cat so much. I hate him. It's important for this. This matters. And the reason I hate Cat with a passion is because he's that guy. He's that friend you always like. You see potential in. You see potential in your friend, but he's always just like the world's against me. Oh, it's always everybody else's fault. Oh, I've never seen a guy in my life have a 62-point explosion and the coach ream him out in the post game. I've never seen that in my life. I've never seen that, and I probably won't see it again. He sat next to Anthony Edwards. He got asked a question about how he performed better in that final game. And Anthony Edwards cut all that off and said, nah, the reason why he had a better series is because or the reason why he had a better game is because he finally stopped fouling. Every game I tell him, I go, if you just don't foul, we're not going to lose. No one can guard you. He's the best offensive guy we have. He needs Anthony Edwards is the guy going like this for Cat and blowing him up. Like, and then at the end of that,
leader. That's called great leadership. Right
That's leadership.
At the end of that little clip they showed, Cat goes, "Oh well, maybe I got the fouls just because like I was trying to actually play defense." And you know what Anthony Edwards looked at him and said? "Shut up! Stop fouling." That's what you're supposed to say to somebody who just makes excuses like an idiot. Drives me crazy. Like Cat has needed this man in his life forever. If only he had him this whole time, maybe Cat would be like an MVP level player. Who knows? Sure.
But that's my point, and they do have Ant. It's like, talking about the mental toughness of something without their leader. It's like, well, there's a phrase that groups take on the identity of their leader. And right now, he's bringing in that, that toughness, that edge, that, at our best, we can beat any of them. Mm-hmm. And I understand he's only 22, but some guys are just born with that. Like, he's got that edge. And so I'm still picking the Nuggets in 7, and I feel like it's because of Jokic. Murray's just a clutch baller. But from an X's and O's standpoint, from top to bottom of the roster, I would not be surprised if Minnesota takes this. Like, would not be surprised at all. So
ready? Time for me to totally contradict myself. I have Nuggets in 5 if Murray is healthy. 6 if he is not.
Oh, okay.
6 if he is not.
There's no way this series is going to be as short as 5 games. I don't see that.
I hope not. I'll be pissed.
This is not a close battle at all. Mm-hmm. This is an ass whooping of epic proportions, and it always has been. And this is the stuff I need to get off my chest. What are we doing with Rudy Gobert this year? Did we just forget that every single playoffs this guy falls off the face of the earth and his team gets totally annihilated because they just scheme him completely out of the game, and then they just wreck whoever Rudy Gobert's team is, whether it's Minnesota or the Jazz? I know Anthony Edwards is really, really good, but at some point, someone, and it's usually the Nuggets with Joker, just schemes him out and gets him off the court. And when you get Rudy Gobert off the court, any team he's been on, their defense plummets. And that's what happens to Rudy Gobert every year. Listen. It's tough.
Jokic, to your point you made earlier, averaged like 27, 16, like 8. I don't remember what the numbers were. It was ridiculous. He put up monstrosity level numbers against the Lakers, and almost every game was right down to the wire. I think you could give him that. I think he could go to work on Gobert, and they're still having a tough time getting W's. They just happened against the Lakers. And I don't think the Lakers are nearly as deep as Minnesota. So again, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with Rudy, because again, I think Rudy in the past has been relied upon extremely heavily to be the rim protector. There's tons of blow-bys. It's okay. We got Rudy back here.
Yes.
This Minnesota team, I think, is going to be a little bit different.
Mhm.
And,
But
you know, like I said,
they haven't been so far, though. Like, there's no denying that. That's how they've played defense this whole playoff so far.
yeah, I mean, but the amount of
100%.
explosiveness of Jamal Murray, like you said, is going to be crucial
Sure.
because
Mhm.
if he doesn't have that, it's going to be a lot easier to contain that perimeter. So,
God,
you know,
ironically, Rudy Gobert and Jamal Murray are like the biggest proof for like why the regular season and the playoffs are so disconnected in this era. They are the two people I always think of, because Jamal Murray and Jimmy Butler is in that discussion too. But like guys who just like, and Rudy Gobert's the opposite. But for the two guards, it's they play okay in the regular season, but then in the playoffs they just like become
another level.
They take it to another level, and Gobert is the exact opposite usually.
for
This
sure.
might have been the best series he's ever had, Gobert, against Phoenix. But I just can't. I refuse to believe that there's a universe where Gobert just somehow figured it out and like now can stay on the floor magically, and their defense, like someone's going to do it. It happens every year without fail.
Yeah.
Like
My argument
didn't have
is
the
he doesn't
personnel.
have to do it. That would be my argument. He doesn't have to do it. Like there's certain things you have to pencil in. And at this
Sure.
point in time, Jokic putting up a monster triple-double average, you kind of just have to pencil that in. Like,
Yep.
Right.
because he can do it against anyone. I mean,
Yeah.
at least a top 5 defensive player of the year candidate. I don't know, wherever you want to rank AD. He does it against AD regularly. He does it against Gobert. He could do it against me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
And one thing Gobert has not had is an elite level perimeter defender and like leader like that. Like, I think that's another that matters so much because they're handling two different parts of the court. It's something he doesn't have to worry about as much. Like, I think that does play a factor. Don't get me wrong. I think this should be a really good series. I wouldn't be shocked if it went to 7, but I think you're just running it
wrong.
And honestly, when you stated that Anthony Edwards was 22 years old, I had to look it up because I did not know that. I swear I thought he was at least 25. Like the way his composure and everything on the court, especially like in the playoffs. I was shocked when you stated that. And I'm like, is he really that young? And guess who won their first championship at 22?
Kobe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing.
I thought so, but I had to be sure.
Well, here's another thing to consider. I mean, which is crazy. I mean, he's drawing parallels just for his personality, demeanor. I mean, even his facial structure and potentially genetics to Michael Jordan, right? Potentially.
Michael Jordan's on his Will Chamberlain grind, I guess.
Yeah. Well, so he has all that, and he looks like he's MJ, 2.0. I still say discount MJ, but MJ turned 22 in his rookie season. Like in his rookie season, MJ turned 22. So I mean, like this guy has so much career ahead of him. And here's what I appreciate about his leadership specifically. Guys like Cat had Jimmy Butler, but I think what Jimmy Butler did is Jimmy Butler tried to be too much of a drill sergeant. Certain guys like Cat, certain guys who are a little bit more sensitive, need a little bit more pushing, and if you push too hard, maybe they just disengage altogether. They just shut down.
Sure.
You need that type of leader that knows how to push you, but also builds you up. And he did that in that interview that we saw. He said, if he stays on the floor, he's one of the best scorers we have to offer. So he's inflating his ego. He's puffing him up, but also saying, but I'm keeping my eye on you and you need to be held accountable and I'm holding you accountable. So he understands that dynamic from a leadership standpoint of, and some guys, they can just be harped on and you'll get the best out of them. But a lot of these guys on Minnesota, they're not like that. And Anthony Edwards understands that. I just think this is a well-oiled machine. It should be a great series. I'm excited.
I'm excited. But I do have a question because I don't understand. And I think it's just me. This might be my Kobe Tardum. Why would people think that Anthony Edwards is mimicking Jordan's game? Like, he's 22 years old. Do you really think he was like, yeah, I'm watching Michael Jordan play basketball? I think he was Clearly, he said his favorite player was Kevin Durant growing up, and I think he probably watched a whole lot of Kobe Bryant. I think a lot of. I'm sorry, and I
Still trying to give Kobe points.
This guy cannot help himself. I wish I took out a lottery ticket.
I apologize to the world, but this is more about Kobe Bryant than anybody else. I don't know why people.
I don't think it's anything like that.
Bring MJ to everything.
No. I don't think it's anything like that. First of all, there's literally videos on YouTube like theorizing that Anthony Edwards is Michael Jordan's son, and there's at least lofty clues that it could at least be possible. I mean, he was born. It was born the year Jordan was kind of sleeping around, and, like he had a child out of wedlock and all. It could be, but outside of that, so there's that connection to MJ. I don't think it's so much about like who he modeled his game after. I think it's just his natural, like God-given skill set is just so similar to MJ's. He's an incredible above the rim player. He's a shifty guard. He's such a tremendous leaper. He's got the confidence. He's got the demeanor. He's got the build. He's he's probably the best shot blocking 2-guard of his era, just like MJ was.
So much nicer. He's so much nicer. He's so much nicer.
Everybody's so much nicer nowadays. You're talking about
but he's so. But him in particular, he's just like if you hear him in interviews, he's like goofy. Like he's ready for TNT. Like be on the panel already.
I've heard
he's already ready to take Shaq's
MJ
spot.
was a real cuddly teddy bear in interviews too, though.
But it's different. It's 90s cuddly. It's like 90s polished. Like Anthony Edwards is like, I could hang out with him on a podcast. Michael Jordan's like, I can't wait to see him on the 5 o'clock news in his suit. It's a little different.
Sure.
Like it's way Anthony Edwards just like even in that movie Hustle. If you guys ever saw that was on Netflix with Anthony Edwards was like the main bad guy in it. Oh, fire! So good. And you gotta watch it. But
really, he acted?
Yeah, as a basketball player, obviously. But it was good. It was really good. You guys should watch it. But but no, he's just like you guys said, composure. Composure with him is key.
Yes.
Nothing. He seems to not sweat anything. Like he seems to be very relaxed about everything and so confident.
That's what I was gonna say too. Like that Last Dance clip where Jordan's talking about, he's got the baseball bat, he's got the cigar,
Dario's favorite clip.
And he's talking about, the confidence to be able to talk trash, when you're trailing a series. Obviously, they never trailed with Phoenix.
Facts.
But I will say, there's going to be a lot of guys in the league that wouldn't have the balls to just aggravate KD like that, and he was fearless about it. Mm-hmm. He was just going at him and trying to break him mentally. The guy who's 35 or whatever KD is, multiple finals MVPs, one of the greatest scorers in NBA histories, and he's being broken down mentally, talking about how he can't sleep at night because of this 22-year-old kid. I'm like, that isn't a little like MJ attitude-ish to you?
That's embarrassing. Why did Kevin Durant say that? That's crazy.
He didn't say that's why. When they asked him the question, they were like, "Well, is it because of how this?" And he's like, "Just general life stuff." And it's like,
no, you shouldn't have even said that in front of the reporters. There's no way.
Yeah,
you can't say that in the heat of battle. You wait until the series is over, and then you say every night Anthony Edwards is in my nightmares. Then you say, but you wait. You can't say it in the heat of battle. You can't do that. You've just knocked your king over on the chessboard. Like mentally, you cannot do that.
It became literally instant. Like, and man.
Oh, no,
do you guys agree? Because this is how I feel. The winner of the Minnesota Nuggets series is going to win the championship. Like this series determines the championship.
No, I don't. Well, I mean, yes.
Well, you have to say that, Dario, because you just.
Yeah, I was gonna say yes because I think that the Nuggets are gonna win the championship. But if Minnesota wins, and my boy Luka somehow does what he does, we could work something out here. I don't know, but probably. I do think more than likely Minnesota and Nuggets are the best teams in the West for sure. The Celtics, depending on how, because I think the Celtics are I know that spoiler alert, but I think the Celtics are gonna make the finals, and I think it's how they play. That I think no matter what, they'd lose to the Nuggets. I feel like they would have the arsenal to stop Anthony Edwards and Minnesota. So I feel like that could be a tougher series. So I wouldn't say like for sure that the winner of the series wins the championship, because I feel like Minnesota has a chance to lose to Boston. I don't think the Nuggets do.
I think we're gonna look at it. I mean, the gap's not quite as significant, but I'm thinking like 2002 finals, Kings Lakers conference finals, where it's like we knew it then. Whoever won that was going to go win the finals. And I that's how I kind of feel about this series. Like, it's being determined here. I think Russell believes more in Boston. I think they're kind of fool's gold. I think they've had an easy year.
With the Nets, though, like the Nets were trash.
Yeah,
like,
not only that. I just can't believe of all series you choose to bring up and say anything besides it was rigged. You choose Lakers Kings 0-2.
Listen, no. It was, but that's obsolete. That's obsolete. If it was legit, Sacramento's going and wiping the Nets. They are just destroying the Nets.
Yeah.
And so sure, okay, advance the Kings because we cheated. I don't care. My point remains the same. The best teams in the West were those two teams. And I think we're gonna look back on this one and be like, man, that was a hell of a fight. That was a hell of a series. If I get swept, I'm going to eat so much crow if like one of these teams sweep each other. But I think this is going to be a dogfight of a series, and I think we'll look back at it and going, it was in the semifinals where the championship was decided.
Do you guys have, like, in terms of percentage, this is going to be a little bit of a left, but it's kind of answering your question.
Mm-hmm.
What percentage, out of 100%, would you say Knicks making the finals? I'm just saying. Hear me out. I'm not a Knicks fan. Yeah. I really am a notorious Knick hater, if I'm being really honest with the audience.
Yes.
I only very recently have I been happy with any moves they've made ever in life. But if you want to talk about personnel that could stay in front of a team like Denver, between Hartenstein and Robinson, that's a lot of bodies to put on Jokic that a lot of teams don't have. And we're seeing it with the situation that's going on in Philadelphia. What is so funny? I feel like I'm in front of a class right now, and a 2-year-old is laughing and I'm
trying. I'm good. My bad.
I think I have no idea who's going to win the championship. That's my main.
Boston's getting past Miami. I don't take Cleveland or Orlando seriously.
I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't take Cleveland or Orlando.
If Cleveland got themselves together, they have the personnel to be good too. Like that it's just a weird.
Milwaukee's done.
Sure.
You know, we know that they're missing, and that just pisses me off because they were my preseason pick to win it all. And you know, and right as Dame shows that I am still Dame in the playoffs, and I'm like, see, my pick's coming through. They all fall apart. Freaking hate it.
He needed Giannis to get hurt to make that happen, though. He needed Giannis to
no, for sure. Giannis needed to come back. Indiana, Philadelphia. I mean, New York's going to eliminate Philadelphia. So yeah, I mean, New York and Boston. How do you like New York's chances against Boston in the conference finals? Is really what that comes down to.
Depends on Porzingis and depends on some of these other like little weaning injuries they got going on with the Celtics. Like that's the other thing. Like I do think if they're completely healthy, and I've said this before, I think that they could all play okay and they'd still beat a lot of teams instead of anybody playing great. They could all play okay, but if they're starting to go down one by one, like no injured team ever really makes it that far. So I don't know,
bro. Can you imagine? Like we might be getting there pretty soon. That playoff atmosphere, the energy in Madison Square Garden. If the Knicks are going up against the Celtics in the conference finals, dude.
Yeah,
like New York is gonna be like off the
hook.
It's gonna be crazy.
Awful. I think you said it a little incorrectly. Terrible. It will be terrible. This city will be, oh my God. The glazing, a glaze will coat the entire city.
When they won the Super Bowl in 2017.
Oh my God. It is
so salty.
New York, fans are insufferable.
Oh my god!
Because they're
God,
passionate. They're passionate.
No,
I
but
like
give me
how
Laker
Johnny's
fans-
not from New York, so he's just
No,
like.
Listen,
No,
I've been a fan long enough. As a general basketball fan, I've
Yeah.
wanted the Knicks to have that superstar and be competitive again for so long because
because you don't live
the
here.
way
Yeah.
the way the Knicks stand by their team and stand by their Knicks, despite the fact that they haven't won a championship since '73. Like,
Yeah.
my
completely
God, the
delusional.
passion. Like, they deserve it, you know?
No, they
And-
don't.
Deserve it. To
They
answer
don't.
your question, Russell, I'm giving them like a 20% chance to get to the finals.
I think that's fair.
Yeah,
think it's
I'm not.
fair,
I'm not.
That's why when you were
I just
laughing,
think-
I was like, I
Well-
think he's gonna give me like.
what I was
Rushmore
laughing
offense
about
here.
was more so if they did get to the finals, are we also giving like Joker like Bell's palsy or whatever, so that so they can play good defense or what? Because they got 50 put on them when this guy couldn't move his face. So
I
like,
just
what do you
That's
think the best player
credit
in
to
the
you.
world's
That's
gonna do?
credit to Embiid, though. That's just
that was so
Embiid,
sick.
Embiid's one of the greatest scorers in the game today. Like, it's
I was there for that. It was
Yeah, it
crazy.
it was.
I was
Yeah.
in the building. It happened right in front of me. It
Yeah,
was
they got- and they
insane. I
lost.
cannot believe
The
that
Knicks
happened.
lost against them. Like, imagine what the best player in the world is gonna do against them. I think it's.
I'm just
way
saying.
worse.
I think the best player in the world is a little less of a somebody who gets guys in foul trouble in comparison to Embiid. And I think that's the whole game with Embiid.
Yeah.
You need the bodies. It's like Shaq. You need the bodies to keep because they always get in foul trouble all the time. Like I don't know, but I think if the Knicks did make the finals as currently constructed, I think it would be at least a 6-game series against Denver. I really do think that. But
Wow.
especially if Murray's not feeling well, forget it. Like, I think that's definitely a fair take.
You have Knicks in 6 or Nuggets in 6?
No, I would have Nuggets in 6 unless Jokic, like, Thibodeau has, like, he's waited his whole career to come up with this defensive strategy for this guy.
Are they your favorites in the East? Are they your favorites in the East ahead of Boston?
I really I know you said you don't care about Cleveland, but again, if Cleveland gets themselves together, I don't know what they're doing here against Orlando, but I think they're really good. Celtics, I think, are relative pretenders. Excuse me. I was on them to start the playoffs, but then Johnny, you made some good points to me via text, and then I watched it happen, and then I proceeded
I changed
to
your mind so fast.
yeah,
dude.
so that and the game, you talking to me and Miami winning that game, I was like, there's no way they shouldn't have swept Miami as currently constructed. There's no excuse for that.
Always played Boston well though, like that, and they've
Yeah,
had
but
history.
But with Jimmy Butler, with it. Without Jimmy Butler,
Sure.
I think that's ridiculous.
If they gentlemen sweep them, that's not good enough.
In my opinion, based on the talent disparity, no, I didn't feel like that was good enough.
Composure,
I think they should have straight up swept them.
composure, maturity, experience, executing, well coached, like all of those things. That's why I like Minnesota so much. Is they're like the one team that was like they were supposed to beat them and they stepped on their throats.
Yeah,
there was no question about it. And even with like the Nuggets and starting off slow, and they just haven't looked as disciplined. Like, yeah, they know how to turn it on late in games. Why do you have to do that every single time? Like, you couldn't get one first quarter that was better than the Lakers. You couldn't have one. Like,
you don't think that's so like absolutely what every repeat champion has done throughout all of NBA history, though, is the switch. Like, the switch has been a thing after a team has won one championship.
Do you mean from like regular
as long as I can
season?
remember.
Do you mean like regular season of playoffs, or do you mean from like series to series? Like, what do you mean?
I'm talking first half to second half. I'm talking like literally the switch. The Miami Heat used to have it when LeBron had it.
Yeah,
the Warriors had it.
Like, but they wouldn't go
all
through
repeat champions.
No. I mean, yes, that is true to a certain extent, but not to the fact that where you're losing in the first half, like every damn game, and end up winning in 5 games. Like, that's crazy, man. Starting every game, like almost every game, you were down by double digits at some point. If that's the way they win the championship, I don't even know what to call that. It's like one of the greatest comeback teams ever. They are the greatest comeback team. Yeah. Like, I just at certain points, the great teams, the champions. And I'm not saying the Nuggets aren't going to be champions. They can't be doing this every series, and they can't be doing that against Minnesota and expecting to beat them. Like they've got to come out stronger to start quarters, and they know it too because they were talking about that. Like, how do you guys feel about your composure? And Aaron Gordon was like, we need to stop doing that. I mean, we don't like that about us. We want to come out of the gate stronger because they recognize that could bite you in the ass. So
could I just say one thing? Because I think this is like really getting lost in this series. They beat the Lakers 11 straight games before the Lakers finally won a game. So I think if you're whooping someone that bad that often, you're not gonna take them serious. Like at some point, you're gonna just be like, I made this joke on Saturday, but literally they found every way to possibly win. I was down by 20, still won. Joker has a great game. Joker has a crappy game. LeBron has the best game of his life. Like whatever, they found any way. Like in a calendar year, they found as many ways as possible to figure out how to beat this team and make fun of them. Like, so I think that matters so much in this that when you look at another team that you're like, oh, this team's actually good. Let's play for real. Like, I think
it's
that's
also
gonna happen.
Yeah,
like,
I can see
it's
that.
Also, it's also like a symptom, another symptom of the regular season not mattering as much because the switch thing always used to be like something that got figured out by the end of the regular season, and then in the playoffs it would not happen nearly as much. But now, once again, because everything is on like this weird lag because nobody cares about the regular season, and I care about the regular season, but the players don't. I can't do anything about that. So I think that like in that situation, you're going to see, I think this happen more in history unless the regular season starts to become more of a thing where people actually start to get themselves together. Like, I just think this is a recurring thing.
That, though, because you got to remember, like that last 10, 15 games of the Nuggets, you had Murray injured. You're trying to refigure everything out. Like that's still like a work in progress at this point, and they just easily won the series. The year before that, these Nuggets were none of that. They were just whooping teams left and right. Like literally, that championship was like everybody, like the Joker was coming, and everybody doubted him. Like that was
Jokic. That'll get the further we get away from that championship, the more we'll look back and go, that was one of the best individual
runs. That was
runs.
like Dirk Nowitzki.
It already is. Yeah.
Did, but like obviously not facing that many as many stars as Dirk did, but like to like at the elite level and at the level like everybody expected Joker to be at. Like everybody wanted Joker to be that, and he finally did it for a whole postseason.